Welcome to Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia for the Singer World Open Squash Championships 1989. Hello, I'm Nicky Horn in the magnificent Putra World Trade Center. A capacity 3,000 people are here, along with His Royal Highness the King of Malaysia, as 56 of the world's top squash players battle it out for total prize money of $100,000 and the title Squash Champion of the World. Over the last 6 days, these 56 hopefuls have been whittled down to the 2 finalists, which has seen excitement, surprises, and, as you would expect, superb squash. With me is former British international Ian Robertson to bring you the highlights of what proved to be a monumental tournament. As the finalists prepare to do battle, we begin with the players who got through to the last 16. Alongside the top names like the mighty Khans are 3 giant killers: Australian Anthony Hill, Pakistani Sohail Quasar, and the young English newcomer Jason Nicole, who knocked out top seeds in the first round. The first upset came when Scottish champion Mark McLean hit top form against a flagging Umar Hayat Khan, when McLean bounced back from 2-love down to win a tough 5-game match. The aggressive and talented stroke maker Anthony Hill of Australia lost a hard-fought battle with his compatriot Rodney Isles in a match that also went the full 5 games. Rodney Martin, the number 4 seed, was jolted in a shock defeat by, of all people, his elder brother Brett. Rodney is regarded as the better player of the 2 brothers and always gives the world number 1 Jahangir Khan plenty of trouble. But the favourite could now breathe more easily with Rodney out of the way. The match was a classic encounter with a vast array of attacking squash from both players. Neither brother favoured defence when there was an attacking option. Brett is maybe the more talented shot maker, but Rodney's greater discipline has gained him more success thus far. There was little to choose between them for athleticism, but this time Brett harnessed his lethal strokes to settle this family contest by 15-10 in the 5th game. The spectators left the Martin brothers match amazed by the exceptional skills they both displayed. The top 3 seeds, Jahangir Khan, Jansher Khan and Chris Dittmar, all progressed to the quarter-final stages with comfortable 3-love wins. 2 unseeded players, Scotsman Mark McLean and Englishman Brian Beeson, put in some spirited play but failed to ruffle the top seeds. Chris Dittmar progressed to the semi-finals with a 4-set win against Rodney Isles. The match of the quarter-finals was this great encounter between the Martin brothers match winner Brett and the wily tough Australian Chris Robertson. It was always going to be a tight match. Your commentator is Ian Robinson.
So Chris Robertson, with a 1-game-to-love lead, has played the most consistent squash so far in this match. That's a great shot by Brett Martin. He'll need more of those if he's going to cause Robertson any problems.
All.
Brett Martin had a really tough match with his brother Rodney last night and hasn't quite found his range so far. Oh, that's a great kill, and there's nothing Chris Robertson could do about that one.
Second, Chris? Yes, I will. Please, would you mind not calling out during the rally to give the players a fair chance?
Yes.
13-12.
That's quite right. The referee just bringing the crowd to order. It's important for the players' concentration and have quiet during the rallies. 13-12. Brett's just picked a bit of a lead up. Brett will need this game. Can get to 1-1 scoreline, then he's right back in this match. Brett Martin just making an error, and he really
And
hasn't
out.
found the fluency. He hasn't got his
13 all.
tremendous range of strokes together in this match so far. It's a great reputation he has, but his brother really is more disciplined, and that's perhaps why he's higher ranked in the world at number 4 than Brett. But if Brett can harness these strokes, then there's no doubt he can go just as far. Great disguise, and that's more like the kind of shot that Brett needs to get back on equal terms in this match. At his best, he's a marvellous stroke maker and very exciting for the crowd.
Just wait.
Robertson went on to win the second game 17-15, and although dropping the third 9-15, ran out the winner 15-13 in the fourth game.
Now to the semi-finals, where the ever-improving 5th seed Chris Robertson brought a fresh challenge to the number 2 seed Jansher, and Chris Dittmar, number 3 seed, was known to have a chance of finally making a breakthrough against the mighty Jahangir.
14-7. Game ball.
We join the match in the final stage of the first set.
Chris Dittmar has made a marvellous start to this first game. He's totally outplayed Jahangir, and at his best, he's capable of doing that to anybody in the world.
Down.
That was good.
So-
That was good.
Hand out.
So marvellous
8-14.
forehand volley by Jahangir, but Chris Dittmar still in the driving seat. Jahangir Khan thought by many to be slightly underprepared for this tournament. That could be decisive in the final analysis against a player of Chris Dittmar's status. Lovely drop shot, good control and touch.
9-14.
So Chris Dittmar has never beaten Jahangir before and stands at game ball in the first game.
Out.
So that's it. Chris Dittmar takes the first game by 15-9. And that rounds off some excellent play. Chris Dittmar, who has been in good form recently, winning the Australian and New Zealand Opens, and comes to this enormous match with Jahangir Khan, one which he desperately needs to win.
The seesaw battle continued, with both players hitting purple patches of inspired squash. Dittmar led 15-9, 12-15, 15-9. After 3 grueling sets, we rejoin the match with Jahangir winning the point on his serve in the 4th game.
So, penalty stroke to Jahangir Khan. Chris Dittmar crowding in on him there when he could have played a winning stroke, and that isn't allowed, and the referee rightly giving the stroke decision. So Jahangir Khan fighting his way back into this match. 2 games to 1 down. He needs this game in particular to stay alive in the match, and that's a beautiful backhand volley. Cut it off low over the tin. Chris Dittmar couldn't scrape it off the wall. So Jahangir responding to the pressure, the big situation. Chris Dittmar without his first win over Jahangir, and that's a lovely backhand angle into the cross-court nick.
8-13.
Sure, Chris Dittmar now will be thinking about the 5th. Great little counter drop by
Hand
Jahangir.
out. 14-8. Game ball.
5th game is going to be the one that decides this now. Jahangir Khan has played very well under pressure to get back into this match. Some marvellous strokes from Jahangir, but that's a loose one.
Hand
He'll have to
out.
keep his concentration.
9-14.
He still has the game ball, but he can't afford to give anything away, because one chance and Chris Dittmar will be back at him. Oh, that's a great forehand volley, and the crowd thought it was a winner, but the referee said Chris Dittmar would have got to it. So,
Quiet, please.
trying to call the crowd to order. The Players desperately need quiet for the concentration.
They are now.
Still game ball to Jahangir. Oh, that's a brilliant volley.
15.
Jahangir Khan, who hasn't had his busiest season, he lost to Jansher Khan in Monte Carlo, but still manages to retain his world #1 spot.
Now at 2 games all, they face the decisive game. We pick up the action with them neck and neck at 5-all.
Chris Dittmar then will have to make
Yes, lad.
a big use of his
Get her out that.
heavy artillery,
5-0.
well capable of hitting nicks from all over the court, but he needs good basic game, good length into the back corners, so that he can create those situations. Jahangir, on the other hand, will be looking for similar length like that. Chris Dittmar not able to get it out, hit the nick and died.
Out. 6-5.
Jahangir will be looking to try and exploit what he believes is Chris Dittmar's weakness, the fact that he's a big man and finds long matches hard to endure. Chris Dittmar has trained harder for this match than ever before, but don't forget he's never ever beaten Jahangir Khan. Still, all the shots, full range of strokes to all corners of the court. And Chris has got beautiful touch, and there it is again. Fantastic straight drop shot, just dropping into the nick and rolling out flat along the floorboards.
6-0.
So far, no sign that Chris Dittmar's suffering any ill effects of a long match. Physically,
Hand out. 7-6.
Jahangir has always believed that Chris Dittmar is weak, and that is probably why Jahangir has managed to retain his supremacy over Chris Dittmar. Punishing drive from Jahangir Khan. And a lovely drop shot. Good control, and Jahangir Khan is showing that any shots that Chris Dittmar can play, he can play just as well. Big Australian #1,
Hand out.
forcing the volleyed error
8.
from Jahangir. And that is a shot that Jahangir has played with great consistency so far in this game. Every time Chris Dittmar has hit through the middle of the court to Jahangir's volley, he's hit a winner. There, corkscrew lob from Chris Dittmar, most unusual. It's often seen at this level of play, and that's a great backhand drop shot. Jahangir not able to move to that one. See it again in slow motion. Jahangir Khan takes a beautifully balanced position to play his short drop shot. Chris Dittmar reading it, moving easily to the ball. Plays the counter drop, and Jahangir really struggling to get off the mark there.
8-0.
And that just shows what it's like at this stage in a 5th set, in a world title semi-final match.
No lad.
And that's a great forehand volley drop from Jahangir Khan, and Chris Dittmar this time, showing that he's a bit heavy-legged. So the tension building up. Proverbial knot in the stomach. Both players here could get to a point of almost sudden death at the end if it isn't decided by
Yes, lad.
a burst of winners from one or other player.
9-8.
And the American scoring system obviously adding to that sudden death. A point is scored at the successful conclusion of each rally. Good for the entertainment value. It certainly helps the crowd. For the players, creates something of a knife edge.
Ball is good.
Chris
10,
Dittmar.
8.
Chris Dittmar just checking with the referee there to see if the ball was okay, and it was a great winner from Jahangir.
Yes, lad.
10-8 to Jahangir,
Yes, lad.
and
10, 8.
quite a normal let. Just a traffic problem moving to that forehand front corner. Perhaps Jahangir slightly in the way. That's a beautiful cross-court nick from Chris Dittmar. Very bold. Off the service, and not too many players will be risking that at this stage in the 5th game. But then Chris Dittmar has been very confident and in excellent form. And just the disguise there. Playing the angle very low. Jahangir late to read it. Couldn't quite make it.
10, all.
So Chris Dittmar's back on equal terms at 10-all. Now, who's going to make the burst to run home for the game? 10-all, 5 points to claim, and a place in the final.
Hand out. 11, 10.
Quite often at this stage in a match, it's all long rallies, but the players seem here very anxious. They're wanting winners, they're wanting it over quickly. Certainly no attritional work here. There's only the occasional symptom of weariness in the play. Both players still rallying at full pace. Just now and again,
No lad.
like that.
No lad.
The referee saw Chris Dittmar move off the mark very late and was saying you wouldn't have got to that one. Jahangir played a very controlled drop shot in the front part of the court. 12-10, so it's Jahangir that's moving closer to his place in the final. 2 points advantage over Chris Dittmar.
Yes, lad.
Oh,
Yes, lad.
that forehand drop shot, not quite as dead.
From the right.
And it's typical that when the games get tight, the points get close. Quite often the players find it more difficult to get round their opponent. And therefore, there's often a little bit of disruption through let decisions. Obviously, nerves are playing some part in that.
Yes, lad.
So
Yes, let.
another let,
12,
and
10.
we've been on court nearly 2 hours now. The referee obviously feeling as much strain as the players. Demands an awful lot of concentration refereeing at this level. Very quick, Chris Dittmar across the court. And that's what forced the mistake from
No, ball is
Jahangir.
out.
Hand out.
He read the situation
11,
well.
12.
Put a lot of pressure on Jahangir. 11-12. Jahangir just taking a bit of a timeout, wiping his hand on the wall. Play should be continuous really, but who can blame them at this stage, wanting to have a bit of time to compose themselves.
Yes, lad. That one was.
So Chris Dittmar
Yes, lad.
willing that to be a point
11,
in his
12.
favour. It wasn't a bad stroke, but it certainly wasn't dead. Jahangir would have got it.
Down.
Well, that's a bad mistake. The ball was on Jahangir Khan's racket from Chris Dittmar, and he just clipped the top of the tin.
12, all.
On a better day, that might well have gone up. Jahangir Khan perhaps hasn't been in quite his best form. The shots haven't flowed as much as we're used to seeing them. Been made to work very hard in this rally. Great retrieving. Lovely drop shot. Chris Dittmar has dictated throughout in this rally. Jahangir retrieved well and re-established himself. That's well up, but he slipped in the process, and that's down! Well, that rally went both ways, but in the end, it was Jahangir who made the error.
13-12 from the right.
I have the feeling that this might just be Chris Dittmar's day.
From the right.
Maybe even his first ever win against
please.
Jahangir Khan. So here we see it in slow motion. Beautiful control on the drop shot from Chris Dittmar, forcing Jahangir wide to retrieve it, and a desperate scurry across the court to play the angle. Another drop shot from Chris Dittmar, and Jahangir's at full stretch again, but just chips it down that side wall to Chris Dittmar's forehand. And here we see Jahangir has got back into the rally. Chris Dittmar lobbing it high over his head, wide of the volley. And another drop shot from Chris, but not very accurate. Jahangir driving it to Chris Dittmar's forehand side. Chris having to boast high, setting up a drop shot from Jahangir. Lovely retrieving from Chris Dittmar. Slipped in the retrieving and lobbed it high, forcing the error from Jahangir Khan. And that's an excellent rally from Chris Dittmar. Took the offensive, forced Jahangir to do a lot of retrieving, and eventually got the error. And that's 2 errors out of Jahangir, and it's not
Yes,
like
left.
him.
Yes, left.
Characteristically, he's so
13-12.
consistent. So, that ball. Again, just taking the tension out of the moment. Both players trying to compose themselves. In this absolutely critical phase of this match. Placing the final at stake, don't forget. Lovely control, glued it to the wall. And Chris Dittmar got it on the wall as well. Good control again. And that's a good shot by Jahangir Khan. And that's a beautiful shot. After that back wall boast, Jahangir had the opportunity to play the backhand cross-court nick dead, and that's what happened.
Hand out. 13-all.
Jahangir Khan with service now.
Quiet, please.
What will happen? 13-all. 2 points from either player would be
Yes,
enough
left.
Yes,
to
left.
ensure the final place.
13-all.
13-all, let ball. Jahangir again wiping his hand. It'll take great nerve now to finish this with winners. Both players happy to rally, wait for an opportunity or an error.
Yes, left. No, the ball was up.
I think that was wishful thinking on Chris Dittmar's part.
13-all.
Desperately keen to see another point in his bag, setting up the match for him. But Jahangir Khan still with service. Well, that's a truly amazing shot. Chris Dittmar closed his eyes and just hit that into the nick, and it was flat.
Hand out.
You have to take that kind of risk
13.
against a player of Jahangir Khan's calibre if you're going to win these sort of matches. This is the closest he's ever been. Just needs one more piece of magic. And that's it! Chris Dittmar's done it. Beats Jahangir Khan by 15-13 in the 5th and final game.
Jansher's match with Chris Robertson looks set to be a one-sided affair after Robertson's grueling win over Brett Martin. We join the match in the second game at 10-9, Jansher having taken the first with ease, 15-3.
Chris Robertson then made a disastrous start to this match, and Jansher Khan has just covered the court with great economy of effort. Whoa! I think Chris Robertson will be grateful Jansher didn't strike that one. Jansher's been in great form recently. Just picked up on the Hong Kong Open and the Singapore Open coming into this tournament. Obviously, in great condition and ready to take this
10,
event.
9.
10-9 in the second game. And Chris Robertson desperately needs to get a game to get back in contention.
Hand out.
He's had a tough run through in this tournament,
10-all.
beating Jeff Williams of England in 5 games, and a very tough match with Brett Martin, and he struggled to win that in 4, but he's moved into the top 5 in the world, and his increasing experience at the highest world standards. He's still yet to win a major tournament. Jansher still moving with great fluency, but
Hand out.
Chris Robertson making elementary errors like that, and it's obviously the legacy of his
11,
match with Brett
10.
Martin. He's probably got sore feet, it wouldn't surprise me. After a match like that, blisters occasionally the case. And Chris Robertson here is being distracted by virtually every movement of the crowd. Obviously very ill at ease with himself.
11, 10.
Just can't afford to be like that if he's going to make any impression on Jansher Khan at all.
Not up.
It's a better shot, but
Hand out.
Jansher Khan is totally composed, totally at
11
home.
all.
It's really hard to see how Chris Robertson can get into this match, and the Australian is usually full of stamina and running, but Jansher is generally quicker around the court. The Australian just making up with tactical experience.
Out.
Well, it'll encourage Chris Robertson.
12, 11.
Right box.
12-11, and he's certainly managing to make a show now, putting a bit of pressure on the young Pakistani. But that's great control from
And out.
Jansher Khan. Just stroke that ball quietly
12
low
all.
on the backhand into the short nick. Jansher Khan, perhaps the skinniest squash player around the circuit, always looks in need of a good meal, but he's so quick, just like his brother before him, Mohibullah Khan. Just exactly the same build.
Right.
Robertson,
Right.
chunky by
13,
comparison,
12.
but today, heavy leg from the after effects of his quarter-final with Brett Martin. Jansher really got
Nine.
a skip in his step,
14,
busy about his
12,
business,
game
and
ball.
Robertson making a really elementary error on the backhand volley there.
Down.
And yet another one.
Hand.
Robertson lost that game 15-12, and Jansher won the third easily 15-6 to go into the final.
Please welcome from Pakistan, Jansher Khan and Chris Dittmar from Australia. Chris Dittmar of Australia, to His Majesty the Young Dipertuan Agong, followed by Jansher Khan of Pakistan.
As marker Mark Toe takes his seat next to referee Dave Donnelly, the King, assembled dignitaries and capacity crowd await the final clash between the great rivals from Australia and Pakistan. After Dittmar's astonishing success over Jahangir in the semi-final, can he make it a double triumph? With Ian Robinson to commentate is Jonah Barrington.
Both players have infinite respect for each other, regardless of what various newspapers may say. They've had already memorable battles, very, very tight battles. Jansher must feel that with a relatively simple semi-final win, which didn't cost him dearly, and with Chris Dittmar's incredible win over Jahangir Khan in 1 hour and 51 minutes, that Jansher's got a great opportunity to wrap this world title up without having to go the marathon distance. Jansher came out very fast in his semi-final against Chris Robertson, and he really took the game to Chris and virtually paralysed him in the first 10 or 15 minutes. This is always the period of getting your rhythm and trying not to make unforced errors. Get rid of that initial nervousness.
Well, Jonah, nothing was more certain than the opening rally was going to be long. I suppose we have got most of the evening to spare, but not too much is going into the front part of the court generally. Just trying to spar for position, get the other player out of the middle of the court, and in Chris Dittmar's case, just get rid of the stiffness.
That's right. I mean, obviously both players know what they have to do, but Jansher in particular has had great success with a long opening game against Chris, which on occasions he's lost, and then increasingly the match has come to him and he's gone away.
He's certainly not the sharpest of stroke makers on the circuit. He really is more of a retrieving sort of a player with a counter attack. Chris Dittmar is prepared to take the initiative, and I think we'll see it's going to come down to really whether Chris Dittmar's attacking game is on form or whether he makes the mistakes that Jansher will wait for.
Well, this is it, folks, the long opening rally, and virtually nominated.
2.5 minutes thus far.
2.5 minutes, fairly short. This is to get the blood coursing through the body. And this is just the sort of rally that will kill off about 98% of the squash community around the world, if they were even capable of staying. And it ends on a let ball.
Well, it was a good opening rally for Chris Dittmar because he didn't give anything away, and Jansher might have been looking for a quick point there. He might have expected an error, just as Dittmar was sorting out his physical problem. Interestingly, last night, Chris Dittmar said in the press conference he felt he was playing better down the walls, and that was helping to take the pace off the rally. He felt that the straight ball actually was quite restful.
Yeah, I thought that when he hit across court against Jahangir, he came under much more pressure because Jahangir was really looking for the ball around the tee area, and particularly when Chris crossed it to Jahangir's forehand, Jahangir cut the ball out and put the ball away in the front right-hand corner. When Chris went down the wall, you know, he did have good control, and he contained Jahangir well in that area. Jansher is really like a sponge, though. He will absorb and absorb and absorb, and then he has a terrific instinct and capacity for counter-attacking.
Well, there's an error, and that will encourage Chris Dittmar. He's obviously going to have to be patient, but one love.
Well, after the initial testing, Chris Dittmar went on to take the first easily 10-15. We rejoin the match with him extending his lead to 10-4 in the second game.
But the match itself is still wide open, even though Dittmar has, at the moment, this huge lead. player of the stature, capacity of Jansher is always capable of coming back in. He has great reserves of stamina.
So we've seen a slight change in attack from Jansher. He's been throwing up the ball, some lob, just slowing the pace of the rally down. And that's quite a good idea.
Yeah, but did you see that how loose that last shot that Jansher hit? I mean, he's just not getting the ball going down the line in the way that he normally does. He's at his best, he hits very tight to the side walls. He hits a very good width across court. And he hasn't found that at all. And obviously part of that is the pressure he's under. But I think that, you know, if he's actually going to get back into this match, he's got to get further forward, and he's got to take Chris more on the volley round the middle of the court. But he's only going to be able to do that, and gain an error. He's only going to be able to do that, Ian, if he gets a good length. And that length just isn't forthcoming at the moment.
The basics have deserted him, John, haven't they? I think it's quite likely, really, that we're not quite giving Chris due credit for the ball control that he's displayed today. In my view, it's certainly got a lot better of late, and there's another drop shot just proving the point.
12-4.
Yeah, the backhand drop shot has been consistently immaculate in this match. Lenny Atkins was telling me last night how much work Chris has done, not only physically, which we knew about, but how much work he's actually done on his technique, and believe it or not, on his forehand technique during the last few months, and he felt that had improved greatly.
Yes, let.
He's a great technician, Junior, anyway, isn't he? I mean, he was always
12-4
endowed
now.
with great technical ability, but he's certainly honed that even further. 12-4 the advantage, and really we're not seeing much to convince us of Jansher's comeback trail, and a backhand from Chris Dittmar there, low over the tin, tight to the wall, same pattern. Jansher nowhere near it.
We're only just over 40 minutes, so you know this before. Oh, that's a good shot from Jansher. That's one of the few occasions when Dittmar has actually misread the shot, faded across the face of the front wall.
5-13.
But he's down a hole at the moment, and he's not showing very good signs of getting out of it. There's no consistency in Jansher's performance.
Jansher
This is a
seems to be
marvellous rally, absolutely extremes of control, great skill, use of the lob, retrieving. There's everything in this rally, and what a fantastic kill. Jansher thrashed that backhand away, and Chris Dittmar just inquiring.
And I think that's what Jansher's got to do, Ian. He's got to move in, and he's got to attack the ball more. He's tending to push the ball, and it's coming out into the middle. He's got hit through the ball, and he's got to be very positive in his approach, you know, because every time he plays a weak shot, he's now under pressure again in the front of the court.
Game ball.
And game ball for the second game.
Chris Dittmar went on to win that 15-6, but then Jansher took the third 15-4. Let's pick up the action at love all in the fourth.
And I would think he would go in short, Ian, at every opportunity he has.
Yeah, I think that's right, John, but harking back to his press conference after the match with Jahangir, he did feel that by playing straight and deep, it was taking the pace off in the rally, and at the same time allowing him to work for a good opening to play an outright winner rather than just a short ball, which was retrievable.
Oh, that was beautiful, though.
Beautiful length.
Exactly what you said. That bears out. I think you ought to be his coach, because I know Lenny Atkins last night was very much aware of Chris cross-courting to Jahangir and the ball being put away. and he does hit down the walls very, very well. And if he can do that, then that is a containing factor, of course, and you can get good positions if the opponent doesn't return the ball accurately. But he has had a bit of a rest, hasn't he? Because he didn't really go for it in the last phase of the third game. So,
Yes, let.
highly trained professional that he is,
Love.
Dittmar's got to be able to promote something at the beginning of the fourth. And you've pointed out what a good squash brain he has.
I think it's a calculated gamble here, Jonah. Ditched the third. He was getting himself in a bit of a mess. And
Yes, let.
he's clever enough
Yes, let.
to try and take that sort of a breather.
Love.
One love.
Well, you know that I've always said again and again that the key to this game is to build on a good length, and I felt Dittmar's length early on was very, very good indeed, and here he now has started with good length, and he's pressing Jansher.
Oh, that is a fantastic wrong-footing drive by Chris Dittmar. And again, those drop shots set up the situation. Such beautiful control. And Jansher really stretched. And it's probably reasonable to suppose that Jansher is about the quickest guy around the court in the world. And made to look almost slow in some ways. Well, fascinating start to this game, Jonah.
Chris gets a bit of a run, and there he didn't get it. Again, the backhand drop shot, finding Jansher wanting in the front right-hand corner. Chris gets his run in. Then, of course, we then have the nervous aspect that can come into it, because almost any player in the world can start to get twitchy. And Jansher was undoubtedly quite nervous early on. Recovered his composure in the third game.
Well, that was well engineered by Jansher.
Jansher took that set 15-11 and so set the stage for the deciding fifth. We go back into the match with Dittmar pulling away at 7-3.
Yes, let. 7-3.
And a little bit of traffic problem in that front right-hand corner. Both of them working on it.
Oh, great skill. Great skill. Plucked that lob out of the air. Just dropped it in over the tin.
7.
Chris Dittmar nowhere near it. Probably surprised that Jansher even selected the shot.
Can those Australian legs promote another attack, Ian? So close to home.
Yes, let.
Well,
Yes, let.
as it gets closer,
7.
tighter, the player's not moving quite so freely, not prepared to take a chance and run around the opponent. Want to let, take the time. Oh,
Yes, let.
Jansher does have a slight tendency to play that shot and stand on it. And he might only be thin, but
Dittmar was coming in fast.
He
He was coming in very fast behind. That's a lovely length. There's the opening. Didn't make it.
Chris Dittmar did well there. He did the diagonal court sprint and was well back to get the ball on that drop shot.
4-7.
And Dave Donnelly.
He'll be happy for a little bit of a break.
4-7.
And I would say the breaks here were to Chris's advantage, Ian, that you know it's fairly sort of broken at the moment.
Yes, let.
and he can gather himself for each rally.
Yes, I think that's true, and also it's going to be a little bit unsettling for Jansher because he knows that every time he goes in straight, if he doesn't give Chris a path, then the let will probably result, and it will cause disruption in his game.
Oh, that was a confident attack, though, wasn't it?
Would you play that out, please? I'm not sure whether that struck the board or not.
Well, you've got three different opinions there.
Well, he thinks it was up, you think it was down. We're playing a left.
There you are. He thinks it was up. You think it was down. And I don't know. Good decision.
Yeah.
Right decision.
And the commentary box didn't know either.
Strike the card.
Strike the card. 5-7.
5-7.
Dittmar preventing Jansher from hitting the winner there, so a clear penalty point. Jansher serving at 5-7.
And this is a great fight back by Jansher in the fifth. Faced a 6-0 deficit.
Side from the right.
The match was on the point of running away from him again, and the ultimate test in the fifth, and he's coming through it. That's a fine kill, but I think the let, yeah.
Yes, let. 6-7.
It's virtually got to be dead for the referee not to give a let, I'd say, and hasn't it? Because
Without a
both
doubt.
these blokes have shown their infinite capacity to pick the ball up.
Yes, let.
Yes, let. 6-7 from the right.
Here we go again.
6-7.
I think you're very clearly.
He's given the let, Ian. I must say I felt that Jansher was in on the ball very, very quickly and played the drop shot early, and that Chris was actually left at that stage, that he wouldn't have got near it. So I think that's a bit of luck for him. But Jansher is forcing the issue. Jansher always sensing when to make his move.
Well, errors are plenty now from Chris Dittmar, and Jansher's just nudged into the lead.
Yes, let.
Yes, let.
Jansher there trying to manufacture the penalty stroke. 8-7.
Dittmar's got to play this point by point.
Yes, let.
Yes, let.
He's got to forget the lead that he had. It's still virtual parity. Jansher just got that mark ahead. Still open.
Stroke to Dittmar.
Well, good control. Built that situation for Chris Dittmar, and he was waiting for it, ready to pounce. Jansher had to play any shot other than the drop shot, Jonah, to avoid the point there.
That's right. There's no doubt that Jansher is the stronger of the two at this stage, but Dittmar still with firepower. And Jansher's made an error. He's been error-free for
9-8.
during the heart of this game, and Dittmar's refound the lead. 6 points away from the World Championship.
Well, it was a weary Chris Dittmar that turned to try and retrieve that shot with the angle. Not even landing on at the front wall, rolling on the floor. That's a lovely rally for Jansher. Worked it well.
10-9.
It's interesting now, Jonah, that both players are opting for short rallies.
Yeah.
I rather fancy that one long rally from Jansher's point of view might well finish the issue.
Oh, he squeezed that off the wall well, didn't he?
He did indeed.
And he got that up.
Well, some grim defence by Jansher.
Well, there's no way Jansher's going to be able to walk away from this and say that it was easy.
11-9.
And he hasn't won it yet. He's playing with calmness, though.
12-9.
Let the pill. Yes, let.
Yes, let. 12.
Chris Dittmar walks to the front of the court to walk all the way back again. Any opportunity just to snatch a breath.
Oh, lovely.
Splendid shot.
Yep.
Two excellent volleys, and Chris Dittmar will be using that
12.
clever tactical brain now.
Worth all the hours of practice to put the ball away.
That's tight.
Lovely work down the walls.
Oh dear. And Chris Dittmar now made an error on what has been a very successful shot for him over this last week.
Yes, let.
Yes, let. 13-10.
Jansher remorselessly dropping into that front right-hand corner.
Of course, the let situation really caused by Jansher's rather slack technique, but that's a brilliant kill, and it really does look as though Jansher is going to take this.
Match ball.
He's prepared to attack. He's prepared to go for the winner. And that's what will make the difference. Lovely shot. And that's it. Game and match to Jansher Khan.
12.
So, after 7 days of fierce competition,